who's also been charged by the special counsel. Our Brian Todd is taking a closer look at all of this for us. Brian, who exactly is Walt Nauta, and how could he factor into the case against Trump?
Wolf, Walt Nauta is a personal aide to the former president who Donald Trump holds in high regard. He could be an incredibly pivotal figure in this case, especially if he flips on his boss.
Thank you, darling.
Standing by his man for now, 40-year-old Walt Nauta, former President Donald Trump's personal aide, who was indicted along with Trump in the Mar-a-Lago documents case, traveled with his boss to campaign stops in Georgia and North Carolina over the weekend, and to Miami, where they'll both face court appearances tomorrow.
His testimony would be important enough because he had conversations with the former president that government doesn't know about now and doesn't have any other way to get. So I think if he wants to, he can still cooperate.
Walt Nauta faces 6 counts, including some related to obstruction and concealment of the documents. Prosecutors say Nauta lied to investigators when they asked if he knew where Trump's boxes of documents were stored before they were found in Trump's residence at Mar-a-Lago. According to the indictment, Nauta said, quote, "I wish I could tell you. I honestly just don't know." But prosecutors say Nauta himself actually helped move about 64 boxes from a storage room at Mar-a-Lago at Trump's direction.
As a Navy man, he must have had some sensitivity to highly classified material, but yet he certainly did the president's wishes, according to the allegations in the indictment.
If Nauta flips on Trump, what kind of damage could he do?
Well, if he flips, he's very close to Trump. These are people close to Trump who have been with him every day almost and probably know a lot.
Walt Nauta, a native of Guam, is a Navy veteran who started his service to the then president while in the White House mess hall. The indictment says he then became a White House valet to Trump, and according to the New York Times, was often, quote, bringing him Diet Cokes, ensuring the president's suit was pressed, and carrying hairspray or hand sanitizer to meet Mr. Trump's needs. After his service at the White House, the indictment says Nauta served Trump at Mar-a-Lago as his, quote, body man. The Times citing co-workers who said that Trump trusted him and liked him immensely. On his Truth Social platform, Trump posted that Nauta is a wonderful man, being indicted by Justice Department thugs who are, quote, trying to destroy his life.
These are friends of mine for a long time.
Walt Nauta now finds himself in the company of former Trump lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen and former Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg, people who worked directly with Trump who were targeted by prosecutors.
Donald Trump, like most mob bosses, doesn't feel beholden to the people beneath him. So loyalty is a one-way street, and he never demonstrates loyalty to others.
If convicted on all or some of these charges, Walt Nauta faces significant prison time. His attorney has declined to comment to CNN about this case. Wolf?
If he decides to plead guilty and get a reduced prison sentence,
right,
as is often the case in these kinds of matters. We'll see what happens on this. Brian, thank you very much.